trust in me.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Mental Odyssey podcast. I'm your host, Kiera, and I have a beautiful co host here with me today. I'm going to let her introduce herself, so whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hi, you guys. It's your girl, Special Treasure here. You guys can follow my YouTube channel, Special Treasure, and my Instagram is at underscore Special Treasure. I'm so happy to be here today.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's go ahead and dive right into this, y'all. So we have a variety of different topics that we're going to discuss. I have my laptop over here, so y'all don't judge me when I'm looking over there. But the main thing that we're talking about basically is prioritizing yourself, your boundaries, your mental health, and just prioritizing you. And I know that I did talk a little bit about this in a previous podcast, but it didn't really touch on like the self importance of prioritizing you. So that's what me and Special are going to be talking about today. So, do you want to go first or would you like me to go first? It doesn't matter to me.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is prioritizing yourself. So, I feel like when it comes to, me personally, I'm kind of like the people pleaser. I'm really really nice, I like to do what I can to help others. But I feel like as a, being that type of person and having that quality, you do tend to kind of forget about your well-being and yourself sometimes because you're so focused on helping other people. And helping other people, I wouldn't say is bad in any way, shape, or form, because you have friends and sometimes they need advice, or you have a sibling who needs advice, and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that what about you? What about your mental health? What about the advice you may need? Do you need a therapist? If you don't have a therapist and you have a friend that you trust to talk to, then you should be able to do that. And even then, being okay and being comfortable with your own company. And I want to talk about that as well on that topic. And the reason why I say being okay with your own company is important because me personally, I can attest to this. I was definitely somebody that kind of like clinged to others for like my happiness. So like when it came to like, okay, I'm not feeling, my best self today. Let me text my friend and see if they want to go hang out. Rather than,
Right.
okay, you're not feeling your best today. Why don't you do something you like to do? Like read or, do art or, edit or whatever the case may be. And I feel like everybody, not just myself, but everybody, we all need to take time to really enjoy our own company more, appreciate ourselves more, and pour more self love into ourselves. So that's what I have to say on prioritizing ourselves. But I will let you go for your turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of self-work,
Yes.
so it's something, and I'm also the same way. Like I say that all the time. Growing up, I was always a people pleaser, and I think it just stems from like just always being, I'm like the older sibling of two younger brothers, so always being the one that's like, I got this, I'm going to do this, and my point, I don't want to say I look for validation, but
Right.
always hearing like, good job, you did that is like so like satisfying. So as
Yeah,
I
like
got older, like
compliments. Yeah.
exactly. So going into my 20s, it's like, wait, why do I need you guys to tell me that I'm doing good? Like I should be able to just tell myself that. And it's such a learning process. Like it's
It
not
is.
easy at all. When we talk about it, it sounds so easy, but the amount of mental work that we have to do behind the scenes is insane. Like to sit with yourself alone in a room and say, I am important and I am great, and just give myself my own like positive affirmations.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
I
work,
do
but I'm
love
so
that.
happy
I
that
do
I
love that
did
because
too.
I even do positive affirmations as well. I do.
Yeah, and people think, I think social media world, it kind of became like a trend and it became disingenuous, but for the ones who actually do it for self-work and self-love,
Hmm.
it really does work. Like it just does. It does wonders. And when you are a people pleaser, you look for that validation. But once you start giving yourself your own points, nothing else matters.
Right, exactly. Okay, I do have a question with that before we move to the next topic. Do you feel like, or have you ever experienced this, where you're taking time for, your own, prioritizing you or your mental health or just yourself in general, your overall peace? Okay. Have you ever ran into somebody that like has called you selfish for kind of prioritizing you rather than them? I have many times, many
For
times.
sure. For sure. And it's insane because I mean, we're in a weird spot in this generation where we're like in the middle. We have
Yeah.
people younger than us, we have people older than us because we're in our 20s, right?
Yep.
So I have dealt with that so many times. I would say probably more so from the older generation. Like who do you think you are? What makes you think you need time for yourself?
Yep.
And you have X, Y, and Z. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Listen, we're trying to break generational curses over here. Being by yourself for X amount of time is okay. Like,
Yes.
it's not a huge thing. And that's not that I don't want to spend time with you. It's just I need to spend time with myself. If you want me to be genuine around you, let me have my time to figure out who
Exactly.
am I in order to be genuine. And I think that's just not understood across the board right now in this society, I would say. How
I
about you?
definitely agree. No, same with me, honestly. Like I said, I have experienced, somebody calling me selfish and saying, "Well, all you do is worry about yourself. You don't think about others." And it did hurt me a little bit. As like I said, as us both, connecting on the part of being a people's pleaser, it did hurt me because it's like I do give most of my time, for other people to help other people because I genuinely love helping, people. Like for example, I work in the mental health field. I'm a mental health technician, is what I do, and so I'm helping people all the time with their mental. I'm helping people all the time with their overall well-being and trying to calm them down and make sure they're okay. And that as well does take a toll on yourself prioritizing and also your own mental health. But I feel like when they called me like selfish or you don't worry about anybody else but yourself, I feel like that also can be a cause of like needing to set boundaries because I'm not really good at setting boundaries, but that's something that I have been working on, this year, and I had to express to them personally because I'm very vocal and I like to communicate. So I expressed to them that no, it's not that I don't care about you. It's not that that I'm not prioritizing you or wanting to help you. It's just that at the end of the day, you go to sleep with yourself and you wake up with yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror. So if you're not straight, if your cup is not full, how are you going to
Mhm.
fill someone else's cup? That's how I look at it, me personally.
Right.
So when I went through that, I also feel like the generational curses as well, because I've also heard that from family too. Saying that like you're selfish, you're disrespectful, with the woo. Because I've cut off a lot of people, in family wise and friends because it disturbs my peace and my mental health rather than helps it, if that makes sense. So
Right.
definitely I say generational curses play a part, and also me personally not really setting boundaries with others to let them know that yes, I'm your friend, yes, you can come to me, yes, we can talk about this, that, and the third, but at the end of the day I still need some time for myself. I do.
Right. And I would even say this, like with me being the type of person that I am, I would consider not to pat myself on the back, I consider myself a great friend, but I
Right.
never had a friend to be that great to me. And I'm like, what is going on? Like I'm always the one to check up. I'm always the one to call, see how you doing, ask X, Y, and Z. But when it's on my end, it's like, well, damn, I guess I'll just figure this out on my own. Like I don't really, you
But
know
I
what I
feel
mean?
like with
So,
that too, me too, because I feel like the energy is not reciprocated. Like I'm always
right,
there for you. Not saying like it's like a priority, but I just feel like if we're friends or we're together, whether it's a partner or family, whatever the case may be, I just feel like if the phone works both ways. Okay.
right.
You can call me, you can text me, you can check on me. Like I even have a friend where like I would check on them often, 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 and we fell off, and I was like, well, it's starting to feel like a one-sided friendship. So I just stopped all the way around, and we still, talk every here and there. They'll compliment like, oh, I love your content. Keep posting with you will. And it wasn't like a bad fall off, but it was more of like a way of like, damn, like I really check on you, but you don't really check on me. But then when you
Hmm.
do reach out to me, it's kind of short ended. It's not really like a friendship anymore. It's more just like
Right,
two mutuals. But I did want to say on what you said too, I'm also the type of person that's like, wanting to help others, and I'm really good at being a good friend. Like I'm a really good friend. Like I have a friend that I have had for over 7 years, and he will
hmm,
vouch for me being a good friend. Like I've helped him, he's helped me. I even have another friend that I grew up with as a child that we're still friends. So I'm really a good friend, and but there's certain qualities I guess about my friendship that people may not like. Like for me, like I said, I'm very communicative. So if you do something I don't like, I'm gonna let you know. Not in a
right,
disrespectful way, but I'm going to let you know that I don't like this. I don't like how you talk to me, and I'm not going to accept that. And they don't like that. And I think
right.
most of it is also kind of towards that people are maybe not used to somebody being so direct. And I
Mhm.
used to not be direct. But I can definitely say and connect with you on that as well. As like I'm a good friend, but I hate that the energy is not reciprocated, or the caring and the compassion of wanting to know if your friend is okay is not reciprocated. Definitely does suck.
Hmm.
Definitely does.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I know we touched on it a little bit when we were talking about like how it affects our mental health, but that is the next topic. So when I'm gonna say a little bit because I did already kind of talk about mental health a little bit because I know I've just been But mental health wise, I feel like, and I'm going to talk about the generational curses part of it. I actually found out that me personally, I'll say this, I apologize too much. So like I'm somebody that'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "I didn't mean to do, oh, I'm sorry." And it'll be over things that you don't have to apologize about. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, that's me. So when it comes to
Yeah, it's like
that, I
that.
actually found out that that's a trauma response. I
Right.
didn't know that. I didn't know that it was a trauma response, but you learn as you grow and evolve and you heal. But I've learned that that's a trauma response of basically always thinking that you're wrong or you're doing something wrong or what you're doing isn't enough. And I understand that
Mm-hmm.
because of my personal upbringing, but I can say how that affects your mental health and how you decide to go through things mentally nowadays. It definitely takes a toll. And I think when it comes to prioritizing your mental health, there's certain things that you have to do, like you said, sitting down with yourself by yourself, analyzing and reflecting, like, I've had this bad habit. It's not working for me, but I know that I want better. Or I don't have a routine. I've been, depressed and lazy. I've been there. Depression is a bitch, okay, and so is
Yep.
anxiety. Girl, I'll tell you, life be lifing, okay. But I feel like when
Yep.
it comes to prioritizing your mental health, it's very important. Whether you journal, whether you get a therapist, whether you just focus on you. Like even just focusing on you, you can still be in a relationship and focus on you. That doesn't mean you don't care about your
Mm-hmm.
partner, you're not doing things for your partner, or you can still focus on you and still spend time with your family or your siblings or your kid, whatever the case may be. But the biggest thing I can say about mental health personally, just from my experience, is that you have to take the time for it. Because if you don't, your mental will continuously plunge and go down the drain.
Right.
Because I was actually in a recent situation where there was some complications with my job and there was some miscommunication. They thought I wanted to quit with the woo, and I didn't work for a little bit. And it did get me a little low. It did get me a little sad because as what I do care about my patients, and you do grow a bond with them, and it made me low. It made me sad, and it was just like, well, maybe I'm not doing anything right. And I think that was God's way of showing me that it's not that you're not doing anything right, it's that I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving you this time to reflect and refocus and focus on the things that you need to do, and then you get back to what you were doing, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
because that job, like I said, worrying about other people's mental health takes a toll on your mental health. Like when I spoke to my
Yep.
boss, I was like, you know what, I have been stressed out and my mental health has been going down the drain because I haven't been focused on mine. I've been focused on everybody else's around me. Okay. And so they were like, well, you know, any job is going to stress you out, but your mental health is important. So I was really appreciative of the break that I did have. But then at the same time, I felt like that's what caused me to be low and kind of sad because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of need, me personally, I can't really sit and do nothing. Like I have to be doing something all the time. And I may
Right.
have
Yeah.
ADHD. I don't know. But
Never know,
undiagnosed.
honestly. Right.
But I have to be doing something all the time. Like if I'm sitting and I'm just doing nothing, that is definitely where I can say my personal depression definitely kicks in. My anxiety kicks in because then I feel lazy and like I'm not doing anything. But then I had to teach myself, like I said, prioritizing you and your mental health, that it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
have some relaxed and lazy days. I definitely
Right.
agree with that. So I will let
No,
you go. I know I was, I just let you go.
no, you're fine. Listen, let it out. No, that's really good. I mean, when it comes to mental health, oh man, the list goes on. I mean, you touched on a lot. More specifically, when it comes to your trauma responses, that can haunt you for the rest of your life if you do not take a hold on it. And that's why I love that we're so young and so focused on it because there's people that go their entire life and unfortunately they die not knowing what was really haunting them. So I love that we're
Right,
taking the self-work to really know like what is causing us to be this way. People don't just wake up and walk into a room and they're fearing people and they're fearing other people's thoughts. That's like taught. It's trauma and
right.
it's something that you built inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when it comes to and it all travels back to validation and honestly, um, it's not even about your physical. If you're okay with yourself mentally and internally, then nothing else will bother you and it will just create like a new spirit for you. There was many, many times where I've been down in the dumps. And as you mentioned, you can make yourself be busy, but then being busy can kind of like what's the word like block out the
It can
the
be
the
like a
truth
distraction.
honestly, a distraction exactly, so you keep yourself busy, and then once you crash and boom, the next thing you know, you're in your room by yourself and depression hits and you don't even know
Yes,
how you
ma'am.
got there. So it's like a complete flipperoo. It's insane. One thing I really do to help my mental health is music. Like I listen to music. It is my thing. Like I've been a huge music junkie. I have an old soul. I've been a
Same
music junkie
here.
since
I
I was a
I
little
think you
girl.
gotta tell that I'm a music person.
Yes, I'm an old soul. Like put on some oldies. I will just leave me
No.
alone. Give me a minute. But also that could be my escape.
Right.
And another thing when it comes to music, I always draw back to music. You'll notice that a lot, is that sometimes music can take you to a place where you don't want to be. Like I know music that I love, know every word. If I listen to that song right now, I will cry. It will take me back 5 years ago and it'll be like, wait, that's not where I want to be, but it just holds on to those things.
It
So you
has those
learn to
memories like engraved in it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I was going through that, but this song is so good. Like, do I want to push through it or not? Like, it's just one of
Yep.
those things for real. And I mean, and I found my joy, honestly, probably with content creating and editing and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. I didn't know. I know growing up, and me personally growing up in an all white neighborhood, being like the only black girl was like the most identity crisis thing you can ever go through. So I'm growing up and watching all these people, watching all these big YouTubers. I'm like, how can they do it and why can't I? And
Right.
then one day I just picked myself up. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Like this is it doesn't matter where I'm at, where I come from, my growth, my trauma. I'm gonna do
Right.
this. And I've been doing it ever since and it helps my mental health. And people always say, well, putting yourself out there, aren't you afraid of judgment? No, it's
Right.
weird. Like I can walk into a room and wonder what people are thinking about me, but I can post for whoever to see and I'm just fine. It's this weird like thing, but it truly brings me happiness. So those are like the two big things that like help me control my mental health when I feel like I'm getting a little spiraled out of control a little bit.
Right.
So I love that. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Okay. And the last one is prioritizing finances. And I feel like this is going to actually be kind of a good one since we are in our 20s. So we're still kind of like the young
Mhm.
adults, I guess is what they would consider us. But me personally, I'll be honest with you. For the longest time, I struggled with my finances. Of course, I was young. I was like, oh, I got some money. Let me go get my nails done. Let me go get my hair done. Let me go buy this. Let me go buy that. Blah, blah, blah. And then as I got older and bills started coming through, no,
Mhm.
no, no, no. And me personally, I did have a fall. Okay. So because I was, always wanting to buy things, I was like, oh, I want this, or I want some jewelry, or I want this, I want to go out and do this. Oh, this is, you know what I mean? And it put me in a financial hole to the point where I'm
Mhm.
open. So I'm an open book, so I don't mind sharing. But it put me in a financial hole to the point where I had a horrible credit score. I'm not gonna lie, horrible. Horrible girl. But it
Oh,
took me some time, to build it back up and everything like that. So I feel like prioritizing your finances sets you up for financial freedom. That's the
yeah.
only thing I can really say. Because from my personal experience, all I can say is don't be like me, be better than me. Of course you want to buy things for yourself. Of course you want to, feel good. Me personally, I love retail therapy. I love going thrifting. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, I also like my bills being paid. I also like the water being on. And I also like being able to know that I can come home somewhere and nothing's going to be shut off and I'm going to be perfectly fine because my bills are paid.
Right, exactly. No, listen, I 100% get that. And one thing that they did not tell us growing up is that the more money you make, the less money you'll have in your pockets.
Yep.
They never told us that because
Hmm.
if that was the case, I would have stayed making minimum wage and just leave my taxes to be the minimum and let it be.
Right.
But that's one thing they never tell you. When it comes to my finances and how I would say I manage them, much better now. I would say pre-pandemic it was easier. Like obviously everything was much, much cheaper.
Yes.
And then as we move on, there were what, 4 years post-pandemic, there's a lot of jobs they're not with the times, okay? They're still
Yep.
giving out 2019 wages and it does not make sense.
Yep.
So what I've had to learn over the years is to say no to people. Like people pleaser, very giving. Someone asked me for $10, I'm gonna give it. Someone asked me for a couple dollars, I'm gonna give it. You need gas, you need some, I'm gonna give it. Until I'm like, wait a minute, everything's paid, sure, but I gave everybody else my leisure money. I don't have nothing for myself, and it all ties back to prioritizing yourself, because
Yes.
that's where I had to take control of myself. Like, wait, why does everybody else have my money? It's like I'm working for y'all.
Yeah.
What's going on? And it
Mm-hmm.
happens
Be feeling like a
too
sugar mama.
often. Right. Like, wait a minute. Okay, yes, I had a couple dollars, but I didn't know it was for y'all. I mean, get on payroll if you need it. Like,
Right.
it's what it is. Like, it's just one
Right.
of those things. But it's what you learn as you grow. Honestly, learn as you grow.
Right. And
Hmm.
actually speaking on the people pleasing part and sending money, I have a mini story time before we close my podcast. I had a friend that was living with me, okay? And I was really, really trying to help her get back on her feet. And then when we fell off of being friends, however that fell off, still respect her, still love her, hope, wish her well, okay? We didn't fall off in a bad term. But when I checked Cash App, girl, when I tell you almost $800 has been funded to her to help her get back on her feet, you know what I could have did with $800?
What? It's the little
Girl.
twos and fews that adds up. That's what they don't realize.
Right, and
It's
it's not like I
insane.
sent a whole 800, but it's just like the different separate payments, and to see that it added up,
Hmm.
I was like, oh my god, like that shows how giving I am, and I'm just like, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. You can help people, but you
Yeah.
can't be $800 deep helping people, because then,
Right, right,
Lord.
right. Who and then who's helping you? Exactly.
Exactly. And then, like, once again, like you were saying, it not being reciprocated, it not being given back to you. And my thing
Mhm.
personally is, because I feel like both of us can connect with this, because we're so giving, I feel like, me personally, maybe you can connect with it, I feel like for the longest time, I expected me out of other people because I know how
Right.
deep my love goes. I know how much my care goes for people and compassion. But I would always expect Kiara out of other people. And I had to realize that, Kiara, they're not you. Obviously, that's common sense. But in the instance, it was like, well, if I'm so kind and I'm so giving and I want to help you and I want to do this and I'm helping you with this and I'm bending corners to help you find extra
Hmm.
resources, but you can't be a good friend to me, how's
Right.
that right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not adding up. It's not adding
It's,
up
if
at
one
all.
plus one is equaling two, four plus four should not equal 16. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Mental Odyssey podcast. I am so happy to have my host, and it was such a beautiful topic and conversation that we had. Make sure to go check her out as well. I will, have her socials, in the description box. Go support her as well, as she is a content creator as well and YouTuber, and she has a podcast too. So go check out her podcast. But I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.